You know, we have a great matchup against a really good Texas team. So it's uncharted territory. I'm still learning about my team. We're very young still, but I definitely don't think they're a team that's just happy to be here. So we're thrilled, and we're excited to get started.
Get a microphone down here. Oh, microphone.
Coach Kevin Baxter from the LA Times. I'm sorry Alex was not able to travel.
That's okay. We're glad you're here.
Two questions, or two-part question. How is Swain, and is she done for the year? And second, including what happened to her, it seems to me that this has been a season of challenges for you. Do you agree, and what are the challenges you had to overcome?
Well, Casey is day-to-day. I thought she would be – we were pretty confident she was going to be ready, and she's had a minor setback. And so literally our doctor's with us, and it's truly a day-to-day thing. I'm really hoping she's not done for the year. So we are still pushing forward, hoping to get her back. You know, in terms of challenges, obviously losing Casey was a big challenge. She's really our most relied upon post defender. She has a lot of experience. She has a very high basketball IQ. So some other people were forced to step up in big ways. But, you know, I think the biggest thing was in terms of challenges, you know, I've had more challenging years, quite frankly, than this year, but is that just seeing the maturity of a team, trying to lead them down a path they've never been down before, and getting them to really picture the vision. It's not like they've been around people that have taught it down to them. This is, but that's what they came to UCLA to do, is they really wanted to take this program to places it's never been, to accomplish things that have not been accomplished, and to do it in an uncommon way. And that was a big commitment, but I think that's been the challenge, to every day paint that picture for young women that have never experienced it before.
Pat?
Coach Pat Eaton-Robb from the Associated Press. I'm not sure if you realize this, but your team has the second longest postseason winning streak in women's basketball next to UConn. How did last year's WNIT experience prepare this team to take this step now in the NCAA tournament?
It was a huge preparation piece for us. I think it, you know, taught us how to win. It gave us confidence about winning in tough environments and circumstances. Our championship game was actually, when I walked in earlier today, this arena feels a lot like the arena that we won the championship in the NIT. You know, I'm not saying that to be a predictor. I'm just saying an environment. It was about this many people, and it taught us it was sold out, a ruckus West Virginia crowd. And I just think that all of those experiences gave us so much, you know, just preparation for this coming year. And I think it taught us, what does it take? And that feeling of winning 6 games in a row, and it sort of follows a similar path to the NCAA tournament in terms of those rhythms. And it's hard to put into words how that really influenced us, but it really was a springboard. I actually wear my ring all the time from last year's NIT, and people will say, why would you do that? I mean, I know that's not what you came to UCLA to do. That it's not about the celebration of the championships. It's about the lessons that I learned through the process. And I want that to constantly remind me of some of the things I learned as a leader, let alone what it taught our program and our team.
Marvin Chambers, Houston Sun, Woman Hoop World. Coach, UCLA faced the most team in the RPI Top 100 this season. What does it say about the direction of your program?
Well, I'm a little biased, but I think we're going in the right direction. And we had the #1 toughest schedule in the country last year, and probably it was a little over-scheduling with all of our 7 freshmen that we had. And you know, I think this year we're in a better position, but I just think it tells you that I'm really serious about building our program to an elite level. And there's no way to figure out where you are on that barometer if you don't challenge yourself against the best. And on a consistent basis, not just 1 or 2 games, but on a consistent basis, allowing your young women to experience the fire at the highest levels and allowing it to teach you what it teaches you. And so we've really, when I sit down with our scheduling people, we really want to have a top 5 schedule every single year. And we want to be able to challenge ourselves against the best, experience the different things. And now, though, the difference now is that now the Pac-12 is the #1 RPI conference in the country. So you've got to also factor in how difficult your conference season is going to be. But when it all shakes out, I think it just really prepares you for situations like this.
Doug?
Hey, Coach. Doug Feinberg, the AP. Congrats on making it this far.
Good to see you again.
You too. You've watched Texas on film, I'm guessing, over the last week or so.
Just a few.
You played them last year. What's the biggest challenge you think you're going to have with them tomorrow?
Well, I really give Karen so much credit. They play so hard and so physically on a consistent basis, and they're about as deliberate of a running team as we've faced all year. I think their depth, their speed, and their aggression, especially on the defensive end, will be the thing that we're going to have to rebound with them. We're going to have to take care of the ball, and we're going to have to really play with an aggression level that matches theirs. And they do that on a very consistent basis. But I like our matchups. I think it's going to be really interesting. They're not playing the Twin Towers, so to speak, together as much as they have in the past, and we actually mirror each other a lot. We're playing 4 guards in essence, or maybe 1 small forward, and then we both have more traditional post players in the middle. Ours isn't 6'7", but in terms of style of play, we really match up pretty well. But I think their physicality, their depth, their athleticism, we would love to be able to make them go against our half-court defense. We want to slow them down offensively, and then we want to be able to create running situations for us on the offensive end.
Coach, what has meant Jordan Canada her game mature right in front of your eyes?
I mean, her game has matured in front of the nation's eyes. I mean, it's really fun to watch. I think a lot, I wish I could take all the credit in terms of UCLA basketball, but, I credit her USA basketball experience last summer. I credit her willingness just to go work on her own. I credit a lot of our NBA UCLA guys like Baron Davis and, people who come back in the summer and they actually work her out and help them. And so there's a lot of people that have poured in, but the biggest person that deserves the credit for her development is Jordan Canada. Jordan Canada has put in the work. And I think that's something that she really learned last year, is that if I really want to reach my potential, there has to be sacrifice, and I'm going to have to really be proactive in my own development. And she has done exactly that. But as her head coach, I'm sort of like a proud mama, just watching her, add skills, add leadership, add confidence, play both sides of the ball, handle adversity. She hasn't shot the ball well yet in the NCAA tournament, except if it's the fourth quarter, of course, but she always seems to deliver on those situations. But I've really liked the mental toughness I've seen in her. And it's, a year ago, her body language would have been different. Her confidence would have been affected. And she doesn't see herself as just a scorer anymore. She sees herself as a leader and as an elite player and somebody who can affect the game in so many different ways besides scoring the ball.
Do you have any other questions? Yep.
Coach, sorry I'm late. I didn't know you were here until just now.
It's okay. I was late, too, so don't worry about it.
Okay, Rick Cantu, the Austin American-Statesman. Jordan and Imani went to the same high school.
Yeah.
I apologize if you've already answered this question, but when you saw Imani in high school, which I assume that you did,
Yep.
How has she changed her game and her demeanor in the 4 years that she has been in Austin?
Well, I think they've done a great job with Imani, their staff, and we actually played against them a couple of years ago in Houston at Reliant Stadium, and so I have a direct reference point, not only seeing her in high school, but then coaching against her in her early years and now coaching against her in her senior year. She's really developed. She's developed in her strength, her consistency, her aggression, her ability to block shots without fouling as often. I think her consistency in running the floor, her hands have improved, just her coordination in that way. I just think she's completely different. If I think back to high school, then her freshman year, and then now, you just see such tremendous jumps, and it's really a credit to her and the staff.
Coach, when was the last time your team played on the East Coast, and how is the travel going to impact this game?
Well, thankfully to the NCAAs, with the way that you can charter and get right back in, I think. But we played here last year. We played actually at UConn right before Christmas in the Mohegan Sun Arena. So we try to travel pretty consistently. We went to the Bahamas over Thanksgiving. I mean, we've traveled a lot, and our administration has been really supportive of us, pretty much traveling wherever we need to do to prepare ourselves for these situations. So I don't think it's a big deal, honestly. I think it's just part of the honor. I don't care what time it is, where we get to play. When you get to play in Sweet 16s, you just better get yourself ready.
Well,
Hi, Mel Greenberg. Coach, how much does the summer thing now, the NCAA, and all help all you guys? Because some of us that double up in the WNBA feel strange. There used to be these clear demarcation lines, and we come out and find out that you guys in different ways, shapes, and form have been gone for weeks.
You know, it's interesting because legally we can do a lot more on the court with our players, obviously with the new summer access rules. But the reality, I think you really need to be careful about it. I think you got to be very strategic. You have to have very clearly defined periodizations because when you come March, if you have only been beaten into them all summer long, they're not excited to even be in March. I mean, it's a long season. So, you know, I do think it's really helping elevate our game because we need to increase fundamentals. We need to be able to increase the challenge or just the productivity of our game, especially even bringing in fan support. I really like summer access rules, but I think you have to be very, very careful to give them time to be kids, give them time to do an internship, do something else. Otherwise, they're not going to be at their best come March.
Coach, it appears that there are 4 dominant teams in women's basketball right now, but yet on the men's side, you can get an upset at any point. Why is there so little parity in the women's game after on top? As compared to the men who seemingly have it everywhere?
Well, I think you have to go to really the youth of the game. You know, there's just a lot more boys playing at younger years, and I don't think sometimes it's opportunity, sometimes it's just interest in those areas. I think more boys are raised up in that environment than girls are, but I do think that's changing, and I think that. You know, I just think teachers of the game, I think it's also changing in the junior high and high school levels. It used to be the stereotype was, oh, well, football coach, if you need a little extra stipend, would coach the girls, and then he'd get back to football. And so it was sort of an afterthought. And now we're starting to invest in those middle school and high school programs the same way so that there's really a chance to reach their potential at a higher level. I think getting good coaching, getting fundamental training, all of that has to be done over a long period of time and giving young girls opportunities to really do the things that the men or the boys are doing, and therefore translating to more parity when they get to have at the college level. And so I think it's getting better. I think you saw more upsets even this year in our tournament. Obviously I'm very familiar with, Washington, going on the road and beating Maryland as a number 2 seed, as a number 7. There's lots of them that took place. We've got, an upset here in this tournament, but I still think it's just a matter of giving more and more girls opportunities and really quality coaching at the younger years. And it just takes a little bit longer to play that out. I think we're going in the right direction, but we still have a ways to go.
Coach, you know how it is in L.A. We need details on traffic snarls.
Yes.
So you flew in yesterday, so where were you coming from today?
Well, we're staying in Stamford, which is about 25 miles away, and so we were coming, I think, I-95 north, is that right? So we're coming in from there. So that's yeah, well, at least in the next hour I would stay off of that. So my apologies, but I did feel right at home having the 405 right next to where I am.
We'll take one more from Doug here.
Coach, I remember talking to you a couple years ago when you had the #1 recruiting class coming in. Now that you've had a couple years of them, is this the trajectory you expected to be at right now, or are they ahead, behind, or is it too early to tell?
It's hard for me to, coaches are never satisfied. So, and my vision is very fixed on, winning championships and what does it take to be in the nation's elite. So, there's always going to be a gap between where the coach sees the potential of that group and then where they're going. But I really am pleased with their growth. When I sit back and go, okay, when I look at, we actually went back and looked at our film last year versus Texas, for instance, and I look at those freshmen and what they were experiencing, how that game was played, and now to be able to see what they're doing. I was actually on the plane yesterday and sitting watching film with Monique Billings, and we were just looking at her footwork. And I just said, a year ago, would you have been able to make that move? She goes, no, I would have traveled 3 times on that same possession, And she's just worked so hard as an example. But I really think they are committed to a growth mindset, getting better all the time, using every experience to reach their potential. And they're not afraid to tell you they don't want to be good. They want to be great. They came to UCLA to, there's a lot of basketball tradition, as you know, at UCLA, and it hasn't been on the women's side. inside. And so we feel that, and we want to be a part of that kind of elite atmosphere. So I think we're going in the right direction. I think it's been one of the best off seasons I've been a part of in terms of a group of young women, let alone those freshmen. But I think we're heading in the right way, but obviously we've still got steps to make.